Welcome to the Keys to the City podcast, where the kingdom enables your success. I'm your host, Christian Graham. Welcome today with someone that doesn't need any introduction, one of the greatest wide receivers to ever play for Notre Dame, one of the most elusive, explosive wide receivers to ever play the game, 10 years in the season. What else? Golden Tate.
Yeah, you covered it. You covered it all, kinda.
Super Bowl champion, Pro Bowler.
Yeah, Pro Bowler, multi-sport athlete.
Yeah.
Drafted
Baseball.
3 times in 2 sports.
Yeah.
You know.
Just slight work.
Yeah, you know, blast from the past. Now I'm just a guy trying to get through the day.
Yeah. What's going on with you nowadays?
Man, a lot is going on with me right now, and kind of not how I thought retired life would be.
Yeah.
I thought it would just be wake up late, golf, pickleball, eat however I want. It's not that way right now, which is okay. I like it, being busy. I got 3 babies, a 6, a 5, and a 2-year-old.
Yep.
And they are amazing. Also, congrats to you. I know you got one coming.
Thank you. I got 2 also already, so I got a 5 and a 3-year-old.
Oh, so we finna be right there together then.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So you already know you know what's up.
Yeah.
You already know what's up.
Yeah.
Don't let them pressure you into a 4th. Bro, I'm telling you, as soon as
I'm
had
pressuring
a 3rd,
myself into a 4th because I don't got my boy yet.
Ooh.
So wife kind of on the playing the fence with that one, but we'll see.
Well, I pray for you.
Yeah, thank you, man.
Yeah. Good luck. Girl dadding it.
Yeah, I'm Kobe over here, shooting my shots.
Hey, there you go.
Putting the reps in, so
keep doing you.
Yeah.
So just got the kids are keeping me more than busy.
Yeah.
I'm playing a lot of pickleball. It's become a passion for me. Playing a lot of golf. Doing a lot of broadcasting work right now, whether it's talking football, which is the most natural part of it, but also just trying to be well-rounded in that area. Like the way I see myself fit into the media game is like a Nate Burleson or Michael Strahan, someone who football is what gets me into the door, but I can talk about fashion and hip hop, country music, even with me being from Tennessee.
Yeah.
And just kind of being able to do a jack of all trades.
That's good, man. Yeah, that's really my background. Is like people have always considered me like jack of all trades. You know what I mean? Started, I started a vape business out of my garage. I was selling e-juice, made my own e-juice company since like 18. Sold that off. Started pursuing music, so I went in. Started DJing, cutting hair out of the garage, and I was gonna go get my barber's license and everything. Ended up putting that aside because God really called me towards starting a restaurant. And so now I got Smack and Guam and Grill down the street. Fast forward 5 years later, here we are at the MK Lab, with the production studio, really all to kind of set a foundation to be able to have that credibility in like the business area, because I've always want to be able to be like a business coach and help like our marginalized communities, being Black. I'm also Chamorro, help those people to really get that inspiration and that empowerment to go and start their own businesses, or to go and, just be a big influence and make an impact in the community. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
And so that's really what Keys to the City is all about. You know what I mean? How are we going to continue to impact the city and bring on high-level producers to really tell their story, you know what I mean? And give these kids, or, the next generation or whatever, the keys to success, that they need. You know what I mean?
That's so good.
Thank you.
Now, you said something that I wanted to cut you off, but what you were saying was so good, I just kind of let it ride out. But you said you was Black and
Chamorro.
What's that?
So from Guam.
Okay.
You familiar with Guam?
Yeah.
The Mariana Islands?
Yeah.
So
okay.
my mom's side is from Guam, and then my dad's from the Carolinas.
That's what's up.
My real dad, and then my stepdad's from Georgia.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. He actually played for Georgia. He played freshman year, tore his ACL, ended up playing tennis for the rest of the 4 years after that. After he recovered from that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So he was there when like Herschel was a senior playing over at Georgia.
Damn.
Yeah. So I got, for football, I know you're a Notre Dame guy, but I'm a Georgia Bulldog, through and through.
Hey, go Dogs. I rock with Georgia, man. I really do. I guess because I grew up kind of tired of hearing about Clemson and Alabama, that when Georgia kind of popped on the scene, started being elite consistently, I was
Right.
like, all right, I'm with this. I like
Right.
Georgia. So,
Right.
I rock with Georgia. I mean, my dad lives in Atlanta too. So,
Okay.
I'm about it.
Yeah. Yeah. So with that, then 15 or 81.
Like as far as favorite number?
Yeah. Favorite number.
I'm going to go 15. I just feel like 15 looked better on me. It felt good. It looked
so you
good.
played with the Georgia boy. So you saying Georgia boy Stafford over Dangerous or what?
1,000%.
Oh yeah,
1,000%. And no offense to Russ, because he threw one of the best deep balls I've ever seen. I mean,
the way that thing floats up and just be dropping in.
It's crazy how high and far he throws it with touch. And like it feels like it's in the air for a long, long time, but safeties never get over to like pick it off or take your head off when I was playing at least. And they always hit your hand so soft. It was like, man, it's almost like it felt like he was dropping it from like 5 feet away.
Right.
But he was throwing it from like 70 yards away.
Right.
Or 60 yards away. But man, Stafford is a real deal though. Like Stafford can make any throw, and he can also make any throw look easy. I'm talking about off his back foot, off his front foot, right-handed, left-handed, underhanded,
bro.
Like
he's so underrated.
He was extremely underrated, and then he got to L.A. and that's when people, go Rams.
That's my NFL team.
Okay,
So I was grateful when he ended up pulling up, and they went all in, and they ain't looking good nowadays.
Right.
But at least we got that one chip. So
you do. And so for Stafford, like I was saying, he can make any throw, but he's a smart quarterback and was undervalued for a majority of his career. And then he left Detroit, which that was hurtful for everybody, but went to L.A. and did something that there's only one other person I even know that's done that, left the team and won a Super Bowl that first year.
Yeah.
And that's Tom Brady.
Yep.
Go. By the way, have you watched that roast?
Which one?
There's a roast on Netflix that was streamed yesterday, and now it's you can just go click on it.
Nah, I haven't seen it yet.
I'll
go watch it though.
It is insane, dog. They go in on everybody. Kevin Hart kind of is the head honcho, and then they have all these amazing like comedians come through, but then you also have like Randy Moss and Julian Edelman and Gronk doing it, and they go in on him. And I'm talking about they talking about all the stuff. They joking on Gazelle. They joking on Deflategate. They joking on his cheekbones and everything. I was like, woo.
Before hopping on this pod, I actually saw the Bleacher Report, carousel talking about like Brady saying like, you should have just paid me $20 million and I would have just told you I would have deflated the ball.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I didn't know that that's where it was all kind of stemming from. You know what I mean? All of that, roasting and everything. But I need to go watch it.
They held it at Madison Square Garden, I believe.
Dang.
And had that thing filled all the way up.
Dang.
And bro, when I say like comedy has changed from when I was growing up, like to me growing up, comedy was like you say whatever you want to make people laugh. Don't worry about people getting offended. If you're gonna get offended, don't even come.
Right.
And like that's what it felt like. Netflix is infamous for like just not really caring. Like Dave Chappelle, with his Netflix series, do what you want to do.
Yep.
Do what you want to do. We're gonna catch heat, but do what you want to do. And that's what this was. I mean, they were politically incorrect a lot. A lot. I'm talking about using all types of words. I was like, like cringeworthy, but it was like funny.
Yeah.
Like it was hilarious. I was like, man, I can't believe you agreed to this, Tom.
Right.
Like I'm talking about, they was just out there like, Tom,
he don't care.
Gazelle, how's that feel to that one joke? I felt so bad. Like, your man just got divorced from Gazelle, and apparently that she was messing around with the guy that was teaching her karate, and they was like, so Tom, how does it feel knowing that your ex-wife's boyfriend can beat your tail while eating her out?
Oh,
and I was
my
like, oh, that's just a low blow, dog. I was like,
oh,
and then he's just sitting up there just like holding his drink like.
That's wild.
I mean, I can't. I don't know. I wouldn't be able to do it.
That's wild.
I'd be ready to fight somebody.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's funny, and kudos to Tom for putting himself out there like that. I mean, Bill Belichick came up there too.
Yeah.
Drew Bledsoe started it off.
Right.
And it was fun. So
yeah, let's switch gears a little bit. So like a lot of people know you through football. But one of the biggest things that really got us together was wanting to talk about, kingdom impact, what I mean, and kingdom influence, and really how your faith got you to really where you are, and you believe that you have a God-given gift and making an impact and purpose, what I mean, in the community that you serve. And so, what are some of the ways that you get involved?
Yeah, pretty much Golden Future Foundation. I think we probably started it back in 2012, maybe 2013. No, actually, excuse me. It was 2014, 2015, somewhere around there. Well, I was already in Detroit, and I knew I wanted to give back, but I didn't know how I wanted to give back, who I wanted to give back to.
Right.
And so that took me, from like, I want to start a charity. Now, where are my passions? And I came up with being involved with the military.
Right.
And to me, that was important because I saw a lot of similarities between our military and being on a football field and team. Now, let's not get it confused. What our military is doing is obviously life and death, freedom and no freedom.
Right.
Ours was, loss when maybe a, injury or no injury, but the whole general understanding of it, in order for the way I connected it was like our men and women who are fighting for our country, they need all 10, 15, 20, 30, however many men and women to do their jobs perfectly to succeed at a mission. And they're all counting on every person doing their job the best they possibly can. And that's similar to football. In order for a play to be successful, you need all 11 men on the same page doing their job the best they can. And it only takes one for that play to be a fail or no gain or a penalty. And so that's how I kind of connected it. And, I was able to do so many cool things with our military and our veterans. Like I was afforded a chance to represent the NFL on a USO tour where I had a chance to go over to Kuwait to visit our troops, and also Frankfurt, Germany, and visit the hospital, which at that time the hospital was, I remember saying, wow, it's slow in here. And they said, don't say that word, like, because it could change just like that. And like slow is good. That means there's not a lot happening in the hospital. No injury. So that was good. But in addition to that, my wife, who is amazing and has supported me incredibly through my career, has kind of been like, I had the vision or the thought, and then she makes it happen. And so
she's the executor.
Yes, and she's so good and thorough with it. And so she would make it so, we had some veterans get engaged at Ford Field. They came on the sideline, proposed. We got the diamond through a company that we had a partnership with, and made it all happen. And like just seeing the faces on these new couples or these families who are just hurting from whatever loss they had, whether it's a father, mother, a spouse, a child. It was just like, man, it's so rewarding. And so had a huge passion for that. Did a bowling event and just found ways to give back. And it kind of just comes from like understanding and being humble. Like I didn't want to be silly enough to think football was just football. And it was just me playing football, scoring touchdowns, catching the ball, making people hoorah, hooray. It was like, use this platform for something that's good.
It's good.
And preferably for a kingdom impact. And that's what I did for the most part. And that's was the foundation of it. Doing it for a bigger purpose than me, being humble and understanding God's love and how God works and how he wants us to work. And now my journey with God is a lot of times an up and down and lots of downs of me thinking I could do this better my way.
Right. As it is for all of us.
Yeah. Right. Completely normal. And so I battled that, and I still battle it. I mean, we are just born selfish folks.
Yep.
And it takes you to die of yourself and be reborn to really love like God and try to, be more godly. So,
amen.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. No, what you're saying is all facts, man. And in business, it's all about strategic partnership and having your visionaries, having your integrators, and how they work together to bring everything to fruition. You know what I mean? So for you, it's you and your wife. You know what I mean? Both of you, actually, it's crazy. I was looking into this. It's like both of your grandfathers had served. You know what I mean? My grandfather had served, thankfully too, Navy. And that's actually how my mom was able to get out here. They ended up taking the cargo plane from Guam back in 1969. You know what I mean? 3 kids at a time. She comes from, I think it's 10 kids. And so they were coming out like 3 kids at a time, 2 to 3 kids at a time. And that's how they got here. You know what I mean? Was just through cargo plane. And so like, major respect, towards our veterans. I've heard you say like you're a man after principles, you know what I mean? And so are some of the principles from like just all your biblical experience, like you diving into your word? Is it from your grandfather, being military and also being, Christian, I assume as well, and really laying that foundation for you, or your dad or whomever? Like who provided that impact for you to like lay principles and foundations down so that you can be the successful man that you are today?
It's a great question. I grew up, unfortunately, from a broken family. And that was hard. And it taught me to just kind of put my feelings deep down off to the side and just act like everything is okay and just kind of keep it moving. And I found a outlet that made me feel like I was good enough, and that was sports. I had a lot of chaos at home, like I said, a lot of responsibility because I was the oldest of the 4 living in that home at that time. My older brother was in California, who was 12 years older than me. And so dad, moms get divorced. Grandmother and grandfather live across the street, but they aren't the perfect couple as well. But they did one thing. We always felt loved. We always felt loved, and which is the key. But I remember just not feeling like I was good enough. The way we didn't have certain things that the other kids had. But one thing I knew daily that I had is athleticism and a passion for sports. And that was my getaway. And that is all I needed. I didn't want to go out and hang with homies. All I wanted to do is go to practice, play multiple games a day if I could, play every sport I possibly could, because that made me feel good enough. And that's where I felt like I proved my worthiness. And so I didn't have a good foundation. Now, the principal thing has actually been something that's kind of been adopted over the last 5 years, which I wish I would have
talked to me about it.
Found it earlier. And I read this book by a guy who was actually from here. His name is Joshua Metcalf. And he wrote a New York mega seller. It was easy, like thin book too. I think it's either called Carry Wood or Chop Wood, Carry Water, or Carry Water, Chop Wood. I don't know what order it is. But that book taught me that to stop acting on feeling and to act on principle. When you do something, find the bigger picture, find the positive. And because if we just rely on feelings come up and down like that.
Right.
I mean, quick. Like, think about it. Like, I could have been driving over here listening to Elevation or Maverick City music, worship, and someone cuts me off, and next thing you know, bam.
Yeah.
I'm in one of these moods like you just cut me off and you didn't even give me a wave.
Right.
I'm ready to flick you off and do whatever. And so that's the point I'm making, is like, rely on the principle of like, okay, look, you did me wrong, and I'm going to assume that you cut me off because you got something going on in your life. Right. And that you are in a rush for a certain reason, and maybe something bad has happened to you. So I'm going to pray for you. And 2, I'm safe still. And so instead of focusing on the bad, I try to focus on the good. Because it's easy. It's the enemy wants you to focus on the bad, and that's what brings you down and puts you at his level. But if I focus on the good things that happen to me, I got cut off in traffic today, and maybe I'm sitting in traffic a little bit, longer than I expected. Maybe I'm maybe a few minutes late, but I guarantee you, on a daily basis, if you just are aware of it, you're going to be more appreciative for things, like simple things that we take for granted. You know what? Lord, thank you for this green light that's going to help me get there a few minutes, faster.
Right.
Thank you for a great day. What happened well to you? What happened well for you today? Oh, you know what? Well, I knocked out my honey to-do list and got through it. If you just look for the good stuff, and it could be simple things, I guarantee you have much more good that's happened that you'll be aware of.
Yeah.
Because it's so easy to focus on, oh man, this one meeting I had went awful. Well, maybe you had 3 other meetings that went well.
Right.
And so just kind of focusing on the perspective part of it, and realizing that, back to my original statement, feeling comes and goes.
That's good. That's good. I brought DJ on the pod a couple weeks back, and he was talking about, or his very last question for me was happiness, or like, do you believe in, happiness? Like, is that the ultimate thing? You know what I mean? And my response to that is like, no, it's joy. You know what I mean? Because joy is that constant choice that you get to make. You know what I mean? Happiness is fleeting. You know what I mean? It's an emotion. Every emotion can be up and down, just like you've been saying. You know what I mean? But when you have that perspective of like, oh no, I can choose and have this decision and control over, my thoughts, my emotions of choosing joy. You know what I mean? Because like God calls us to rejoice always.
No matter what.
No matter what. It's not circumstantial. You know what I mean? So whether there is the highs, the lows, my pastor was just talking the other day about like, you're in between 2 mountains is a valley. And there's going to be dry bones in the valley, just like we saw in Ezekiel, you know what I mean? But you breathe life into that, you know what I mean? As God calls you to and God commands you to. And so, one of the biggest revelations I've felt and heard from God is like the measure of your output will be measured by the honor you give onto your disciplines. The weight of your output, how much output that you actually are able to deliver and put out into the world is measured by the weight you give and the honor that you give onto your disciplines and the honor that you give onto him ultimately. Because the biggest thing that I see going on is that we're making God common, or we're making God amongst common people, amongst the world. You know what I mean? That's the opposite of honor. You know what I mean? Dishonor is just making something common, right? And so it's really bringing people back to understanding like that principle that like you need to be honoring God. You need to be honoring your commitments, your disciplines, you know what I mean? And staying true to what God wants you to do, what God calls you into, and the assignment that he has on your life, you know what I mean? And he won't lead you astray,
Never.
All
good comes from God.
Yeah.
And one thing I've learned over the last few years is to kind of what you're saying, rejoice and find joy in your trials, because that's when you need him the most, and that's when he's going to come through the most. But you got to seek him. Like and it's what he's given is free.
Right.
All you got to do is accept it.
Right.
Now, accepting it wholeheartedly is a challenge sometimes.
Yes.
Because we are still born selfish.
Yep.
And we still think our way is better than his way, which
99.99% of the time, you know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
Sometimes it works out.
Yeah.
You think, but you probably are still missing out on something when you do it your way. And so it's something I am trying to like practice as well. And I feel growth in myself, because what I used to wish for and pray for has completely changed, for what I wish for and pray for now. Like I used to pray for materialistic things like as a kid, which is, fine.
Pretty
Be
normal.
a professional athlete and make a bunch of money and blah, blah, blah. And now I pray a little bit different. Like, Lord, give me wisdom. I feel like wisdom is more valuable than any currency that I can hold.
Yeah.
So that is what I want. And that's what I pray for. Because I feel like with wisdom, more responsibility in your family, what you're doing from your day-to-day changes, how you think changes, and you understand. I feel like wisdom gives you clarity.
Yeah, no, definitely. What's your perspective? Like, so wisdom, that's my daily prayers, is God give me more wisdom, God give me more discernment, you know what I mean, over as being a serial entrepreneur and an investor and things like that. I just need more wisdom, more discernment over my decisions, because I don't want to be, as you said, acting out of God's perfect will for me. You know what I mean? Like when they talk about God's plan, that's really just his perfect will. You know what I mean? Like I feel that God gives us a permissible will where it's like, yeah, you can go try this, you know what I mean? But really, you know what I mean, I want you to be right here. But I'm gonna show you, you know what I mean? You can go and travel this little path right here. And when you need me, I'm gonna be right here. I'm gonna pull you out of that one. I'm gonna bring you back to this line. And so yeah, my daily prayer is wisdom and discernment too. But talk to me a little bit on your perspective of money. Like, what does money mean to you? Like, because you have so much money, you have a lot of access to it, at least, you know what I mean? So what does money mean to you nowadays than what it used to be for you?
I used to just pray for a lot of money. And when I was praying for it and I got it, I have been extremely irresponsible. And that's really just not understanding Jesus' intentions for it. I thought, I have all this money. This is my money. I spend it. I pay my taxes. I do what I want to do with it, have fun with it,
Right.
blow a lot of it. And it's not the way it's designed. It's ultimately his money. And I still fall short. I still buy and do knuckleheaded stuff. I just don't do it as much. And now afterwards, I'm like, dang it, why did I just do that, man? I should have done something else with that. And so it's a learning curve.
Yeah.
But what comes with it is mistakes and growth. And as you know, God more and more, I feel like my guilt rises more and more, and that's because I know him a little bit more.
The conviction.
Yeah, I know. Like now, it's not like, oh, I'm doing this and la la la. It's like I did this, and I know that was not right. I know I should have.
Holy Spirit just
done
be
this
coming
different.
in and just be like, yo.
Exactly, and I think that's part of the journey and wisdom part of it.
Oh yeah,
I absolutely. And so
you see it with King Solomon, like the most wise man to ever walk this earth. You know what I mean? Like he had all the wisdom in the world, and like people would literally come and flock to him to try to gather that wisdom. And by the end of his life, you know what I mean? He's acknowledging to everyone like, yo, honestly, it's God. Like you need to be focusing on God. It's not about the money. It's not about this and that, like how much head knowledge you have and things like that. Like you need to have that personal relationship with God. That's the whole, story untold. You know what I mean? But people try to focus on his story of like, oh yeah, I'm gonna learn all this wisdom so I can be getting that cash. You know what I mean? And that's been me in the past. You know what I mean? Like I was always great with investments. I've been investing since 18. I'm 28 now and stuff. And that's how I started the restaurant. You know what I mean? I was able to turn all my money I was earning as a server and my entrepreneur, like small gigs out the garage, you know what I mean? Putting it in my self-investment accounts and stuff and started swing trading and things like that. And then developed that flow. But then I wear this shirt for a reason. So like this was a saying or like a slogan to me since like 8th grade was like money enhances more opportunities. And for me, I would always chase the money. You know what I mean? It was always about chasing the bag. It was always how am I going to continue to like get money to either put food on the table for the fam or for, the homies and stuff like that when I was doing all that. But it's always been like money enhances more opportunities. And like God, when I started to form that real deep relationship with him, he said, but I'm the enabler of opportunities. Like God enables the opportunity for you to even make the money or to put this gift into you or to, sow in this way or to invest into this way to see what you're going to do with it. You know what I mean? And like I said earlier, you know what I mean? If you're giving honor onto those disciplines, the discipline of having money and sowing a seed into the kingdom ultimately, and like you said, seeking first the kingdom and his righteousness, all these other things are going to be added to it. You know what I mean? Matthew 6:33. And so he's really like shown me that, you know what I mean? And even in the midst of even starting all these new businesses and things like that, as I started to take the big leap, I still continue to fall short too. You know what I mean? Like I had like a huge gambling addiction, sports gambling, you know what I mean? And stuff like that. So I was like doing that. And it wasn't until like just a few months ago that like God showed me that wasn't, I would always try to justify it as like, oh, this is just an investment. You know what I mean? It's a quicker investment than like my swing trading or, whatever it may be, real estate. But he's like, nah, this is an addiction on your life and you have to break this strong. I'm going to break this stronghold off of you and I'm going to turn up the fire on your life, the refiner's fire, and I'm going to remove this out of your life so that I can open doors for you like this one right here. You know what I mean? Like having people of great influence that are going to be coming through your doors, so that you have that story and that testimony to share about my goodness, you know what I mean, and my grace over you, you know what I mean? And it's just been so eye-opening, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And one way to kind of simply put it for those who aren't, they're new on their journey or kind of like wondering if I should do it. The way I think about it sometimes is like, all right, if you let me borrow a pair of J's, you would expect that I'm going to take the utmost, care of them.
Yeah.
They're going to come back better than how you gave them
It should
to
be
me.
dead stock.
Right.
Still giving to me dead stock back.
Right.
Yeah,
and they're going to treat them better than, you would treat your own stuff.
Right.
And like, if you think about the money that God's given us, if like, I'm not going to go out and blow his money. Right. Like knowing that it's not mine and it's his, I'm going to give it. You think about it, you have to give it back at some point. Right. And so like, if you just think of it that way, like whatever he has given you, if you just view it as it's not mine and I'm gonna have to give it back anyway at some point in better shape, then I feel like that kind of allows you to act a little bit different with it.
Yeah.
And that's kind of very
it's the parable of the talents, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like Matthew 5:14, where, Jesus is talking about, your master gives you, 5 talents to go and sow, you know what I mean? And then like dude didn't even want to flip one bag, you know what I mean? He's like putting it in the ground. And I think that's what a lot of us tend to do, not only with money, but even with our gift. You know what I mean? He's like, Jesus was basically saying, take that gift and go send it to a banker, because that banker would have at least gotten interest on that talent. You know what I mean? Whereas you were selfish. You were trying to do in your own accord, you know what I mean? Like trying to do with your own plan, thinking that you know what's best, to sow it into the ground. And then like when I come back, it's, it's at least it's just the same. You know what I mean? But God really wants us to invest and continue to sow seeds into people, so that people can know more about him and his kingdom, his love, you know what I mean? And ultimately the redemption story that you need Christ. You know what I mean? And so that's really what Keys to the City is really about. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, we talk a little bit about business, you know what I mean? We talk about leadership, how we can continue to make influence and impact, but really ultimately it's like, how are we going to continue to sow into one another so that we can continue to bring light into the community and advance the kingdom, you know what I mean? Yeah. And so,
and if there, I know there's people probably listening that are just looking for any sign of God or clue, or just completely just like, I don't know what to do with life. One thing that's helped me, and it's a transition I'm going through, is like, I've been praying for like purpose. Like, Lord, help me find my purpose. Now, what is purpose? Purpose is, in my opinion, is something that I'm going to be passionate about, but also having a kingdom impact. Because if I don't have both of those, I will get burnt out. If it's just my passion that's driving me, then I obsess over it, and I'm going to get burnt out at some point.
Yeah.
And if it's simply just for God, then resentment could possibly come into play. Maybe I don't want to try my best, but if I can capture both those things, of like, this is fulfilling for me and I enjoy it, and I'm also doing a kingdom impact, then you're touching all the bases, right?
Right.
Like it's fun and you're doing good.
Right.
And so that's where I am, because I thought, God, you put me on a earth to play football, score touchdowns,
right,
celebrate, have fun. And now that I'm 35 years old, I'm like, wait a minute, there has to be more to life.
Yeah.
And so I'm praying for that purpose right now. That's something that's going to give me, that same adrenaline rush that football gave me for so many years, which is extremely hard to find. But if I can find something fulfilling that gives me purpose for something bigger than me, then it's going to come at some point.
That's good, man. You mind if I coach you a little bit? So like,
Please.
me being a business
Please.
coach and everything, like this is where my coaching perspective really comes from. It's all biblical principle. And so like, I believe that as you become an asset towards the kingdom, the 3 things that need to be really assessed is, where's your mindset, your skill set, and gift set. And where those 3 sections intercross, you know what I mean? That's it all has to stem from first having your right standing in your heart with God. And he's going to open that up to then open up your mind to what he wants, you know what I mean? His desires for you, you know what I mean? And once you tap into that and you find the things that you're skillful at, the things that you're gifted in, you know what I mean? And you surrender and you're obedient and, like I said, honorable to that assignment that God is, he has a specific and unique assignment that's just for you. You know what I mean? But it's really through that surrenderance and that obedience that you give onto whatever he calls you into. And like I said, it's going to be that cross intersection between, you know what I mean, where your belief is at, you know what I mean, how strong your faith is, you know what I mean, your skill set and your gift set. I call it MSG.
So explain to me, what's the difference between a skill set and a gift set? Like what?
Yeah. So a gift essentially is something that's given from God. So your natural ability, that's something that is like literally just for you. So Ephesians 4 says that we all have a gift. Completely paraphrasing right now, but we are all a part of the body, and we all have a gift to serve within the body of Christ. So whether that's like pastoralship, evangelism, you know, apostle, teaching, shepherding, things like that. Those are all part of the gifts. The next thing would be your skills. So skills are something that you can just look up, you gain wisdom towards, you start applying that knowledge towards something. So it's stuff that can be developed. A gift is something that's just within you. Like God has that gift for you. Like this is just what you do. This is who you are, who your character is meant to be. Skills are things that you develop over time that you start to mature. You know what I mean? It's the sharpening of the iron over time. You know, you just continue to sharpen that iron. But that alignment with where your mind is at with Christ, you know what I mean? Because if you have the same like-mindedness as Christ, you're really being like Christ. See, that's another thing too, is that we're not called to just do life like Christ. We're called to be like Christ. You know what I mean? It's taking that action into a habit, and then that habit then develops into our character, and that character then reaps the destiny, you know what I mean, that Christ really has for you. And so when you tap into that through your prayer life, through getting into the word, you know, through fasting, through spending time in community, you know what I mean, who you surround your community with, I believe it's in Mark 2, you know what I mean, like it's the story of the paralytic man. The paralytic man didn't get healed because of his faith. He got healed because of his friend's faith.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so the people that you surround yourself with too, you know what I mean, ultimately make that impact on how how the outcome of your life really comes out too. You know what I mean?
1,000%. And that kind of transitions me into like letting people know that you have to surround yourself with people that are good for you, that are going to help you be a better person. They're going to hold you accountable, because as much as another thing, one of my biggest mistakes was growing up was that I thought I could hang out with whoever, and I had the discipline not to do what they were doing.
Right.
Man.
Hell no.
You don't stand a chance. That's like, and I forgot who told it. Like think about it. If I'm addicted to donuts.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to quit donuts because they're not good for my weight, and I'm trying to slim up. Do you think it's going to be easy for me to give up donuts if every day to work I'm taking the street that passes the donut store, or every, after work or in the morning I'm stopping at the donut shop to get the newspaper? I'm not getting these donuts, but I'm getting the newspaper. I'm smelling it. I'm passing it every day.
Right.
Like I'm just, we are
hardwired.
We're built weak.
Yeah.
Period. And we give in to BS a lot of times. And so I learned that again later in my life. But if I, like I wasn't like, I thought I could just be looking at BET, looking at the, 106 in Park.
Yeah.
And looking at these chicks and then go back on with my life. And that ain't the way it worked.
Right.
That's just not the way it worked. Or I thought that, I could just figure this out myself and not talk to anybody and deal with it. But then you lose your accountability. So like,
yeah,
man, who you want to be is who you need to surround yourself by.
Yes.
And if you look for God, I promise you will find him.
Yeah.
I promise you. And it's crazy because like I've been around so many people, from football players, baseball player, basketball artists, singers, whatever it is. But the people that I look up to the most are like my pastors, the people who I feel like have wisdom, and those are who I enjoy being around because they are good examples, and what they're doing for me is more fun than the BS that other people are doing, on the weekends. And so, like
Right.
my best weekends have been when I go golf with my pastors. We, talk some crap. We worship a little bit. We deal with like things that we're battling with, and I know and I trust that they have my best interest. And like
Oh,
those
yeah.
are the weekends I walk away like, man, Lord, thank you so much for that reset.
Mm.
And like I've also been on trips where I'm not with godly people, but they're not doing anything wrong, but it's just a golf trip. And it's just like, okay, well the golf's over now, and now I'm just like, that was just time away from my family doing golf. Like
Yeah.
it just wasn't fulfilling because
Yeah.
all that stuff, we're always going to be looking for something a little bit more. So like those are my best weekends.
I want to encourage you, bro, to just continue to step out in faith in those moments too. You know what I mean? As God calls you to, is like, Jesus hung out with the sinners, you know what I mean? And so it's like we can too. We are too, and we're to still hold ourselves accountable because we have the mindset of Christ with us when we're in those moments that, you know what I mean, we don't have to engage in some of the things that they may engage in, but you can show them and continue to be a light, you know what I mean, within that group, you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And so, yeah, it was there was a word I was thinking of, oikos, which means, it's a Greek word. It means household. And really it's pointing towards the specific community that God will put in your life. So like my boy Kiki over here, and Carmen and my wife Steph, you know what I mean? And then I also have, a bunch of other people that are starting to surround us within this community that we're building to continue to make impact, you know what I mean? And God honors that and opens those doors because the sphere of influence that you're going to be able to make through that community, that in oikos is like a very tight knit like household, you know what I mean? But it's not necessarily like just your family from your bloodline. Like it's, you know what I mean? He starts to expand that sphere of influence of people that you just form this community with. That's an oikos.
Okay.
And so there's going to be, maybe if you don't have one already, but maybe something like that is forming in your life where, you know what I mean, that household is really coming together, you know what I mean? And you continue to lay that strong foundation out into the world, you know what I mean? So I just want to continue to encourage you to seek that out, man. And you're going to continue to do well with that,
Absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah. There was one thing that you said with donuts. All right. I don't know if it was a donut. I don't know if it was a cookie. I don't know what it was, but I heard over the grapevine from a friend of a friend that early on in your years of Seattle, might have been your first year in Seattle, there was a bakery shop down the street from your apartment or house, whatever it may be. That joint was closed. And I heard that you had went into that joint, got your donuts or your cookies or whatever it may be, and you came back out, went back to your apartment, did your thing, whatever. Was that a true story?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So you broke into this joint.
Well,
Door was open.
It was definitely open. The door was open, wasn't locked.
Okay.
I lived above a place called Top Pot Donuts. You had Top Pot here, and then you had a high rise. And so I'm coming back from the bars or wherever I was as a newly rookie. Like I hadn't even been on a team for probably 3 weeks at this point. I don't even being a knucklehead. And I smell these donuts, and I'm like, ooh, sounds fun to just go grab a few. And they were baking them, and I ended up taking a few, and some other things happened, but I ended up getting banned from it. But then they ended up keeping them in business because we did some marketing stuff with them, and Pete Carroll did a great job at, they were irresistible.
Saving your ass.
Yeah, pretty much. And so it ended up turning, kind of what was miserable for a while into kind of, I guess, a positive for the company for sure, because it kept them in business when they were about to go out of business. And I actually, made some dollars on it, but man, like when I say I was a knucklehead, dude, I
Yeah.
was a knucklehead
Yeah.
as a kid, and even obviously into my early years in the league. And that's why I had to kind of learn and surround myself around people with great foundations and
Yeah.
had principle based like attitudes, and so it's something that I'm still growing. But jeez, I look back, I'm like, man, I look back and I'm like, God, I let you down so many
Oh
times. Like I
man.
could have done so many
Mm.
great things, but then also circle back like, Lord, thank you for being patient with
Mm.
me, because there's people who did far less damage to me and who were probably better workers who just didn't make it this far. Like the
Mhm.
fact that you were patient with me and let me make that mistake and then make another mistake and then make another mistake. And then I ended up still having a 12-year career, going through a couple contracts, undeserving contracts,
Yeah.
um, and not stewarding your gifts well at all. It
Mhm.
was like, man, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for being patient. And like, I don't deserve it. And now I'm trying to like rewrite the book and be better and try to represent myself, my family, but more importantly, him and his love
Mm.
better than I really ever have. And, bring people with me, because at the end of the day, like these shoes, this chain, this t-shirt ain't getting me nowhere.
Yeah. All these things will be washed away, and the only thing that will remain is the word. You know what I
Right.
mean? Everything else is gonna go away at some point. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
But his word is gonna remain. And so yeah, with that being said, you got anything to ask me or
Well, yeah.
all right?
I need you to teach me some of these entrepreneur ways that you have your hand in. I mean, you got so many things that you're doing, and which means you've learned so many different tools that help you in life. But my newest thing has been I like music, love music, and I grew up, the best music of all time was 90s music.
Mm-hmm.
90s hip hop and R&B is the best. And
Amen.
also, me being from Tennessee, I do love me some country, and I feel like country is actually moving over to more R&B-ish a little
Mm-hmm.
bit.
Yep.
A
Yep.
little R&B.
You got
So,
King George coming out with some
yeah,
stuff. I don't know if you know King George.
uh-uh.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, and so
It's cool.
I do want to learn how to DJ, and I have like a Pioneer like mixer,
Yeah.
but I want to be able to DJ like, I want to be able to mix like new school country with some of the old school like hip hop and R&B, and it's hard right now because I'm so early into it, but I would love if you could teach me how to do that.
Yeah, bro. Yeah. We could definitely take that off pod, man. Yeah, anytime, you want to learn, I have 10 years of DJ experience, 14 years of live engineering experience, throwing shows and things like that. So, yeah, whenever you want to chop it up about that, we can definitely do that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I do, because I want to go to parties, or like my house parties that are in the neighborhood, and be able to like play some good stuff.
Yeah. I just want to thank you for your time, bro. I know that your time is valuable, you know what I mean? And just really taking the time to just have this authentic conversation. And I just want to remind you with this is Matthew 5:14 says, "You are the light of the world. A city set on a hill cannot be hidden." And so that's what Keys to the City stands on. You know what I mean? Is how we can continue to go out and be a salt and light in our community, continue to spread your gift, continue to spread your wisdom, not for your own glory, but to give glory unto God and continue to advance his kingdom. And I think that it really starts within your own city, your own household, you know what I mean, within your own community, and then it just, flourishes from there. So I just want to encourage you with that word, man. That's what God really put on my heart to have Keys to the City really stand on. So continue to be a salt line in your community, continue to pour into your gifts, continue to seek God, seek his face, and
Thank you, and good luck with everything. And man, I'm excited to see everything you're gonna achieve, all for him.
Yeah, I'll be praying for you too. Especially as you pursue this DJ career, possibly.
Yeah, and wife ain't gonna have that. And I'm not gonna be spending nights in the club trying to DJ. So it's more so just like something to do, like I don't know, be able to mix up some music and have fun with it on the golf course.
Yeah, bro.
Something low key.
All right, brother.
Appreciate you.
Appreciate you.